Oh yeah, I gotta turn on the freaking... Alright, Sweet Thieves. Yada yada yada. God, you gotta win Sweet Thieves 3 times. That's gonna be stupid easy. That's actually gonna be easy. One of the interesting things about the updates and stuff is that the new, like, the weekly goals and whatnot are much, like, more specified. Like, before, like, win a Sweet Thieves would have never been a goal before. But now it is. Of course, for this one, I think there's a thing, where is it? Win Sweet Thieves 10 times. Which, I mean, it's possible, but, yeah, it's gonna take a minute. I'll be honest, I have no idea who this character is. El Chapulín Colorado. I have no idea who this character is. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it's Word Girl, but I know I know better than that. Oh, we got the Assassin's Creed Valhalla costumes, which are still a stupid amount of money. And we got some of this bullshit. You know what else sucks about the new item shop as well? Like, one of the worst parts is that the new costumes that are in, like, the stuff where the money's worthless are just, like, the most boring shit, man. And the fact that the shop only updates, like, once a week, that's actually not too bad. I still stand by my point, though. It's the most boring shit. Like, feet. Boater hat. Right? Like, at least give us some of those tops and bottoms for costumes you couldn't exactly get before. Like, come the fuck on. Whatever. Whatever. I can't win. So we're playing Sweet Thieves. So if you remember last time we played Sweet Thieves, this is the minigame where we got Infallible. And I have known several people who have already gotten Infallible, both through this mode, and they did a soccer mode last week, where it was first one to score a goal wins, and I know someone who got Infallible through that. And then, yeah, I've known several people who have gotten Infallible. Basically, if you've ever needed to get the Infallible achievement, now is the perfect time to do so. Because this mode makes it totally possible to do. Because Sweet Thieves isn't hard at all. To win 5 games in a row. I mean, you're gonna have to do some grinding, obviously, but no, I've done it. I know people who have done it. It's totally possible. You just gotta get lucky. But trust me, this is your best chance. I don't know which team we're on. Okay, we're thieves. Okay. We're a big hot dog, man. So I saw something where they jumped up here, and then they jumped on that. And it was by jumping on that. Ah, crap. So, tip for this one that I have learned over the time, when you're running away from somebody, don't be grabbing, because grabbing makes you walk slower. So yeah, just don't. We've got 2 people in jail. We really should get somebody out of jail. Just taking my time, slow and steady. Yeah, I really actually do like this mode. It doesn't come up very often, but it's a very good mode. Yeah. See, I actually, because it's only a 12v12, so it's very simple. But yeah, I do really like it. And I don't actually take, I know these are technically wins. I don't take screenshots of these wins. I'm actually curious how many points this gives, experience-wise. Actually, okay, that's not going to help, because that's a 13, whatever. But we'll figure it out. We're well into our 50s now. Alright, so for the actual show tonight, so that's one win to start off the night. For the actual show tonight, it's post E3. There's not going to be any fucking news until September. Just being realistic here. I mean, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct at some point, but who knows when that's going to fucking be. I'd like to hope that, like, anytime this month they'd announce it, but knowing Nintendo, they could wait until never and just wait until September. I don't think they will, but they could. And then maybe delay the September Direct into October. Because there's always a Direct at the beginning of the year, and there's always one in, like, September. So, and I usually say February, but it's actually not always February, sadly. It's been January sometimes. I actually prefer it in January. I like the idea of a January Direct that gives you like an overview for the entire year, but that doesn't happen all that often. Okay, I see somebody. Guard the candy. Okay. Yep, there we go. So I saw somebody who like moved all the candy into like a corner. Very clever idea. Very clever. Yeah, so yeah, there isn't going to be, though I will admit, there was, we did get Sea of Thieves news finally. I don't give a shit about Sea of Thieves, because, first of all, well, okay, I used to, but 2 reasons. 2 very specific complications about the Sea of Thieves. Oh, hey, boom, look at that. So yeah, there was Sea of Thieves news. I did not watch the presentation or whatever, because 1... Ubisoft is a company that mentally and physically abuses its employees, so they can go right up fuck themselves. Yep, nope, don't give a shit about Ubisoft. So yeah, that's the start of it. Secondly, with Ubisoft, so Sea of Thieves, I loved Assassin's Creed 4. The pirate stuff in Assassin's Creed 4, and the pirate stuff was the best part of Assassin's Creed 3, and then they brought it over to 4, and that was really good there. So yeah, I thought, so when Sea of Thieves was announced as like a full standalone pirate game, I was super excited. And then the game's been in development hell for, I want to say 4 years. It might be 6. I don't know, when was Skull and Bones revealed? I'm gonna look it up real quick. Skull and Bones was revealed. Um, 2018. Or it was supposed to come out in 2018. Okay. So yeah, Skull and Bones, right? And since then, it's been in development hell for the past 4 years. And the only reason it's coming out now is because Ubisoft is contractually obligated to release a game as part of a deal with the Singapore government. If it wasn't for that deal, I would guarantee that this game would never be releasing. But they have to put out something to fill their contractual obligations. So that's my guess as to why we're finally getting Sea of Thieves. Or, not Sea of Thieves, Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones. I keep saying Sea of Thieves, I mean Skull and Bones. Oh, there it was. I was like, I saw something. I also saw something right here. But yeah, if I had to guess, that's why. Oh wow, look at this cheeky bugger. Oh. Okay, we gotta play protection on the jail. But yeah, so yeah, I just don't give a shit. Like, who gives a shit about the game anymore? It's fucking dead, you know? Like, the game's absolutely fucked. So yeah, and it's fucking Ubisoft, the company that mentally and physically abuses its employees. I don't give a shit about it anymore. You probably shouldn't give a shit about it anymore. But they're putting it out anyways. Oh, god damn it. He was standing right there and he did fucking nothing. But yeah, so yeah, I don't give a shit about Sea of Thieves. I mean, I didn't even write it down here because I didn't even watch the fucking presentation. Because who gives a shit? It's fucking Ubisoft Sea of Thieves. Who fucking cares anymore? The actual first story we got, around, as I pointed out in a stream on like Tuesday-ish, it looked like we might finally be getting a new Switch, right? Because the Switch OLED trailer got taken down off of YouTube. So that brought up speculation, like, hey, if the Switch OLED trailer is down, and it's usually around this time of year that they announce the new Switch trailer, or that they announce, like, the Switch Lite was announced, like, July 8th. The Switch OLED was announced July, oh my god. I know he's around here somewhere. Yeah, the Switch OLED, oh, fuck, he's right there. Okay, there we go. I got him. Yeah, so the Switch OLED was announced like July 10th. The Switch Lite was announced July 8th. So that brought in like real speculation, like, hey, maybe the Switch Pro or whatever it's going to be called will be announced July 8th or whatever this year, right? That's totally possible. Especially because the old trailer got taken down, and with the Switch Lite and the Switch OLED, those trailers got taken down around the same time. So yeah, it was a totally real possibility that the Switch OLED that the Switch OLED happened, or the Switch Pro. That was a totally real possibility. And it may, like, a lot of people have been talking about how, like, less powerful the Switch is recently. Like, I talked earlier in the week about, like, Kinda Funny. I was listening to one of their podcasts about, like, with the Steam Deck and things like that, do you still like the Switch? And one of the things they talk about is, like, oh, the Switch is just so much less powerful than every other system on the market. And personally, that's never bothered me. But I did try playing Fall Guys on Switch, because, you know, it's free to download. I might as well try it. It's like, it's the same game, but it's like running through molasses. It's really weird. Like, you'd think it would play the same. And, like, I know, like, the frame rates on all the other beans are bad. But, like, I would still expect it to play the same, more or less. No, it actually doesn't. The Switch version of Fall Guys basically plays completely differently. And it's actually, like, a massive upset, in my opinion. Like, I never, like, that's the first, like, people always say the Switch is underpowered. Personally, I've never really felt it until I tried playing with Fall Guys. That was the first time I was like, you know what? Maybe they got a point. Maybe they're right. Maybe the Switch is underpowered. And we are like 99% sure that the Switch OLED was supposed to have a 4K output. But due to chip shortages, that, you know, was still the reason the PS5 is so hard to get, is the reason why we never got that. Is because of those chip shortages. So yeah, that's totally possible. That, yeah, we got that because of those, that everything, the Switch OLED still came out, but because of chip shortages, we never got the 4K Switch we all wanted. I have no idea where the other team is. I have not seen a single member of the other team. Okay, I see one back there, but... yeah, so yeah, maybe that is. I don't know. A Switch Pro, which they're going to call it something stupid, right? Nintendo is a monkey's paw. Everything they do comes at a cost. Switch Pro is too good a name. They're going to have to call it something stupid. They're going to have to... oh, you take it. They're going to have to call the Switch Pro something stupid. Okay, yeah, we did fine. So yeah, that's going to... but I do think the Switch Pro, or whatever they call it, is eventually going to happen. I just don't know when eventually. I would think it would happen around now. But if it doesn't... and there were no, like, other than, like, those few, like, the right timing and the right dates and everything, there weren't, like, I didn't see any, like, influencers or any, like, credible leakers saying, like, oh, the Switch LED is totally gonna happen. Or the Switch Pro, right? I didn't see... it was just those, like, few coincidental things that made people think it was gonna happen. But yeah, personally, I didn't see any... right? There was nothing actually... but, so I think if it doesn't get announced here, well, then maybe they'll announce it next year. But it would meet with a new Pokemon game, a new Zelda game, right? To really get, like, the... because there's a whole thing where every time there's a new Pokemon game, there's a new console model, right? You can literally look this up. Like, when X and Y came out, it was the DS XL. When the 2DS was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The new Nintendo 3DS was Sun and Moon. The new Nintendo 2DS was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The Switch was, whatever the system is. The Switch was Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Switch Lite was, Sword and Shield. Switch OLED is, I guess Diamond and Pearl, but also Arceus. Right? All these things, there's, like, this whole history there. That people just kind of, like... that, and it goes back, like, those are just the examples I named. It technically goes back to the DS days. Right? Like, examples like... those are the examples I'm naming. But technically, like, shit like this has been going on since the Nintendo DS. So yeah, these are tried and true examples that maybe even go back farther to, like, the Game Boy Advance. But I have no actual evidence of that, mind you. Oh my gosh. Okay, come on, someone press that button. Nobody's guarding it. But yeah, so that's just, like, it's technically, like, it's just one of those things, so it would make sense for the new Switch model to also be coming out, right, around, with the new Pokemon game coming out. A new Zelda game would be a huge deal. Right, just like all these factors coming together would make a lot of sense for something like that to happen. But we'll see if anything actually comes from it, you know? Oh my god! Oh! I think that was 4 wins in a row right there, so... Yeah. I tried to jump on the button, and it hadn't reset yet. But yeah, so I think the Switch Pro is going to happen eventually. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because what actually came out of this was a new version of the OLED. Not like an upscaled version, just it's a skin. The OLED got a new skin that is Splatoon themed. And it looks nice, you know? The new OLED theme actually looks pretty nice. I like it. I am not blown away by it. I'm definitely not going to get it. I don't know. If they were selling the... Because I got the Splatoon Joy-Cons for Splatoon 3. Or for Splatoon 2. I'd get the Splatoon 3 Joy-Cons if they sold them separately. They're doing a Pro Controller. I've had 2 Pro Controllers. Both of them have had different issues. One had Joy-Con drift, or Pro Controller drift. And the other's trigger stopped working. So, Z and ZR, L and LR, all of those buttons stopped working. Z, R, ZR, L, LZ. I think I said LR at some point in there. Right, but so I'm not gonna get a new Pro Controller, but because yeah, I've had too many problems with them. But yeah, no, I do want the new Switch to yeah, okay, it's a nice looking design, you know, but I have an OLED, so I am good. Thank you very much. But yeah, I do think the Switch Pro is going to happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. That's really what matters, is when does it happen. But I do think it happens. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, I do totally think it happens. Yeah, so that was the whole thing. But yeah, I just think it's a... Oh my god, how is nobody... Get off me, you asshole. How is nobody guarding this gate? Other than you. God damn it. And that one guy grabbed me and just completely threw me off. I have no idea where he went. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna get a Switch Pro until next year. Like, cause I think now would have been the perfect time to reveal it. Maybe they'll wait until closer to Pokemon. But the thing is, it's gonna have a normal edition before it has a special edition. You know what I mean? It's gonna have a normal edition. You fucking moron. But yeah, it's gonna have a normal edition first. So that's why I wouldn't be like out of the thing to be like, oh well, they're gonna do Pokemon. Right? Like I wouldn't be in any rush to like say that or anything. At least that's my take on it. I don't know, maybe I'm the crazy one. I don't know, it'd be neat. I see you, I just don't want to go chase him. And they open the gate. See, when we're capturing all these people, the problem is nobody's defending the gate. I am so full. But yeah, I think that's it. I see the Pro happening eventually. Would I pick up the Pro? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I've personally, other than Fall Guys, I've really never had any problem with the Switch running at like lower speeds and whatnot. That's never really been an issue for me personally. Oh, cool. We're halfway through the season pass now. I mean, we have been, but you know, it now definitely feels more like it. So next up, I think literally, so like the Switch, this new Switch OLED model got announced. 5 minutes later, if that, they might have gone up on the same time. God of War Ragnarok was officially announced with the release date of, and I'm pulling it up here if you give me a second. I'm pretty sure it's November 9th, 2022. So yeah, it's November 9th, it's 11/9/2022, or 9/11/2022 for those in the rest of the world. And yeah, there's still time to delay it, but if they're gonna come out and reveal the release date now, I feel like it's pretty set in stone at this point. I feel like there's a very high likelihood that yeah, this is true, that we are going to officially get God of War Ragnarok here, right? That it's coming out, that they're sticking by this November release date. Again, getting Sony a big holiday game is really important. Kind of weird that it's not on their Game Pass style subscription service. Honestly, that's kind of strange, you know, or whatever it's called, PlayStation Premium Plus or whatever. That would be a great idea to do. But whatever, you know, whatever. Is there a button you hit to like walk slower? Oh, it's L1. Okay. I was gonna say, like, I know there's a button you can hold to walk slower. I just couldn't remember what it was. But yeah, so I think getting a big November game in there makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good release date for anything, right? Just right there in early November, you know, get something out before the holidays. Because right now, I mean, Nintendo doesn't even have a holiday game. That's kind of a problem. I mean, they've got Pokemon, which, let's be honest here, is their holiday game. Okay, you took the ballsy move. So yeah, Nintendo technically doesn't even, like, they've got Pokemon. But yeah, it's good, because I know some people were worried that Sony wasn't going to have anything, just straight up. And it looks like that's not a worry anymore. Yeah, Sony's going to have games. Or at least they're going to have that one. And yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah. Not much to say on that, really. Just, hey, it's coming out. I still, I never beat the first one. So, that's it in Horizon. 2 games I gotta get around. It is kind of crazy to think that they've got both Horizon and God of War coming out in the same year. Right, that's kind of wild to think about. Of course, everything's getting trounced at by Elden Ring at the Game Awards. The only thing that's not is, like, Valorant's probably going to take an award for, like, multiplayer shooter or whatever. But literally, did I say Elden Ring? I said Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring's going to sweep the Game Awards. Again, they don't technically matter, but I can tell you it's going to happen. Next up, so if God of War got an official release date, another game that was supposed to be coming out around that time period that did get delayed was Forespoken. Forspoken is that Ubisoft isekai game that I really only kind of care about because Gary Whitta is one of the writers. I think Gary Whitta's right. I think his stuff's okay. So yeah, I'm like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. And right, it is basically an isekai. Like, it's about a person from our world who gets transported into this magical fantasy world. You know, it's not an anime style. Like, it's going for more realistic graphics. But, you know, there's, like, magic and shit. It looks fine. Honestly, it looks fine. But yeah, that officially got its, that got delayed until the 24th. So it's a little bit of a delay. You know, I don't remember what the old release date was. I don't have it written down here. But I know this is a little bit, like, this isn't an extreme delay or anything. But it is most certainly a delay. So yeah, that happened. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so yeah, Forespoken got delayed. Again, I think the game looks interesting. I'm definitely not. Oh my gosh, come on. I'm definitely not, like, super excited for the game or anything. It's just, that's kind of the one delay that happened just now, so I guess it's kind of important to talk about, in theory. Because, you know, that's... I don't know. I just wanted to talk about... I just wanted to mention that it's getting delayed, because, again, we're kind of in news drought right now, and I'm not going to talk about Ubisoft games. No matter how much I may have at one point been excited for it, fuck Ubisoft. And yeah, I guess that takes us into... If that's everything, that's all the news, so that takes us into WIBE. For our WIBE stories tonight... Oh gosh. We got one out for... Yeah, so for our WIBE stories tonight, there's two things specifically. The Cuphead DLC. We talked about the Cuphead DLC last week. I was really liking it. It was more Cuphead. You know, I highly recommend... Right, the new character was interesting. Definitely some new the new Miss Chalice has a invincibility roll that I almost never used. I'll just straight up admit it. I never used that invincibility roll. Like, I'm sure it has its uses. I personally never really found much of a use for it. Oh, yeah, but the other stuff, I'm sure there are uses for it. Like, I'm sure there's some boss fights. But yeah, for the most part, I never used it. Some of the double jump is nice once, but it takes some time to get used to, because I'm not used to having a double jump in Cuphead. And some of the new I highly recommend using the new weapons. Yeah, there are 3 new weapons. One of them I don't think is that useful. I mean, I guess it's very circumstantial. But the other 2 of the 2 new weapons, the other 2 are super useful, man. You have to use the other 2 weapons, in my opinion. Like, I'm sure you can beat the game without them. And I know you can beat it with just normal Cuphead. But I highly recommend using the 2 of the 3 new weapons. The third one, the Whirlwind one, I'm sure it has its uses. Like, I could see you using it against one of the bosses. Specifically 2 of the bosses. But I just never found that much use for it. I did have the game glitch out on me. So if you've ever seen people play, I've only ever seen it, the only other place I've seen it is in the King Dice boss fight. If you've ever seen the King Dice boss fight in the normal Shovelhead, and then Shovelhead, and then I'm thinking of Shovel Knight, and we'll talk about that next. In the normal Cuphead, the King Dice boss fight can occasionally glitch out, where he gets stuck on, like, a specific animation, and he, like, stops attacking you. Well, one of the new bosses in the DLC, I'll just say the Western one. The Western one. It has 4 phases. And I basically beaten it. I was probably like 2 or 3 hits away, but I just couldn't get those final 2 or 3 hits in. But then on one of my attempts, it got stuck on the second phase. And it just never worked out from there. So yeah, it can. I've seen it get stuck before. That is something that can totally happen. It doesn't happen, you know, super often or anything. But yeah, I got stuck on there. So I was still able to beat the boss without that. But that is a thing that did happen for me, which technically made the boss a lot easier. So in theory, that was nice, I guess. Like, having the boss... Because again, I was so close to already beating it. But yeah, other than that, I definitely don't... Like, I don't think there is any boss in the DLC that is as hard as King Dice is in the default game, because I still stand by King Dice is the hardest boss. But the DLC does definitely... right, it does definitely increase, like, the difficulty, as you would say. But yeah, so that was... But yeah, so other than that, I did enjoy the rest of the DLC. I think it's all very solid. It's pretty fun, you know? It's a pretty fun DLC. It's not, like, super long. It's basically, if you've never played Cuphead, the game's more or less divided into, like, 5 islands. And this new area is basically just adding another island to that. It's a 4th island. It's not, like, insanely... It's basically the size of, like, the 2nd island. So it's not, like, too much bigger. But yeah, so I enjoyed the DLC. I think it's a pretty solid DLC. Definitely, at its price point, it's insanely good. Right? For... I think it's like $8. It might be... 8 sounds right in my head. So for an $8 DLC, it's pretty good at that price point. Okay, good. We got 2 people coming in. Okay, we gotta protect the button. But yeah, at $8, I think the DLC is more than worth it. If you liked Cuphead and you want some more, highly recommend it. If you've never played Cuphead, now is a great chance to pick it up. I don't know if it's on sale. It was on sale on Steam, because Steam summer sales were going on. I don't think that's true anymore. But it was on sale for a while, and yeah, it's really good. It's a really good DLC. And yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, it's not actually, I don't think it's that much harder than, like, the default game. It's more that there's just, like, new patterns, and you have to learn those new patterns. So yeah, but yeah, you have to do those in the default game anyways, so it ain't that big of a deal. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty solid DLC. You know. There's a mystery that I haven't figured out. And so I am curious about that. I don't know what that does. I guess there's also a way to get, like, 9 lives. I don't know if that was always in the game or if that's, like, a new thing. But I saw, like, I think it was a TikTok or a Twitter video that was talking about, like, how to get, like, 9 lives in not Fall Guys, in Cuphead. And that, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, actually. Because, yeah, one of the things about the new character is that they have, 4 lives instead of the default 3. Or, I mean, technically you can bump it up to 5 if you use the double heart item, but yeah. But yeah, I definitely think the new levels are designed around the new character. Or at least they make them more, not palatable, but, you know, they change things up. But yeah, I like that. But yeah, I beat that on, like, Saturday. Or I mean, Sunday. So yeah, like, we did in chat, because last week I talked about it. And I talked about how close I was to, like, beating it. Well, yeah, since then, I went back. And yeah, I just played through the rest of it. It was pretty simple, pretty easy. So yeah, it wasn't actually that hard to beat at all. But yeah, so after I beat the Cuphead DLC, I then didn't play video games again until today. Instead, I just played regular show, which we will talk about here in a minute. Oh, shit. Okay, good. Yeah, I've instead been watching regular show. Did I say playing or watching? I've been watching regular show. But I finished regular show, so now it's back to playing. Oh, god damn it. So yeah, I finished regular show, and then I played some video game today. Specifically, I played Cuphead, or Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight. So we talked about last week how I've been wanting to play Shovel Knight. I played Plague of Shadows. I'm just using Shovel Knight as like the treasure trove. So any of the 4 expansions. So I played Plague of Shadows. Took me about 4 hours. Very good. Basically 100%ed it. Technically not. I got like a 98. But right, I was really close. And that was only because I didn't go back and get the Pandemonium Cloak. And I'm sure I missed like a music thing or whatever. Well, today I played Spectre of Torment. Spectre of Torment is the 3rd expansion or the 2nd expansion? Yeah, I guess it'd be classified as the 2nd expansion for Shovel Knight. And it's the Spectre Knight gameplay. And it's a much shorter campaign, I can tell you that. Because whereas Shovel Knight took me... I haven't replayed Shovel Knight. Plague of Shadows took me around 4 hours. Spectre... Oh, there we go. Spectre of Torment took me 2. It took me way less time to beat Spectre of Torment again. It went a lot better the second time, or this current time playing it. And I technically didn't 100% it. I think I got like 98 or whatever again. Because I didn't go back and get the cowl traps, and I didn't do the tower, and I'm sure there's something else I didn't do as well. But I did everything else. I got all the red skulls, I got all the items, all the armors, all the upgrades. And yeah, it's the shortest campaign of the 4 Shovel Knight campaigns. It's the shortest. But it's a very solid campaign. I beat it very quickly. I mean, the world record for speedrunning any percent is, I think, 37 minutes. So, like, fuck. But I think there's even an achievement for beating it under 2 hours, which I technically didn't do, because I did it in, like, 2 hours and, like, 2 or 3 minutes. I think I already have the achievement anyways, but yeah. But yeah, it's a much quicker paced game, because Plague Knight's just a faster Plague Knight is a faster character, but Spectre Knight's a faster character. The levels are probably around the same length, but there's no world map. A lot of the optional stuff you do in the other games campaigns just isn't in this one, right? Like a lot of like going to those like bonus areas and doing bonus challenges. I mean, there's the challenge tower, but that's a whole other thing. That's more of a running challenge than anything else. But yeah, I do, because see, of the 4 Shovel Knight campaigns, I do like the, I think the weakest one is King of Cards, which we are going to be streaming hopefully later next week. My goal is to beat, oh my god. My goal is to beat, Pokemon, which we'll do, oh god damn it. My goal, we'll beat Pokemon on Tuesday. And then we'll do King of Cards on Thursday. And King of Cards should hopefully be only a single stream. It might be 2, but I don't think it will be. Because I don't think King of Cards is that long. Honestly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's like 4 hours, like Plague of Shadows and Shovel of Hope. So I don't think it's that long. I don't know, I could be totally misremembering these things. But yeah, because I've only ever played King of Cards like once, maybe twice. I kind of don't remember. I know I played it once on Switch. I might have played it once on Steam. I kind of don't remember. So there is so I might have 2 playthroughs in me. But I kind of just straight up don't remember. It feels like something I did twice. But honestly, I have no idea if I did. God damn it. I was walking there trying to stay out of view. But yeah, I am excited to do King of Cards again. You know, because, right, I've been doing the other campaigns. Probably I'll do Shovel of Hope before the next stream. That will be something that I do at some point. Yeah, Shovel of Hope. Maybe. I don't know. I'm definitely thinking about it. And that just leaves, King of Cards, which, yeah, I never... Again, I've done Let's Play videos for the first 3 Shovel Knights. I never did, I never did do, King of Cards. I did Spectre. My best Let's Play I've ever done. And I don't know if it holds up. It totally might not hold up. But in my memory, my best Let's Play I ever did was Spectre of Torment. I don't know. Maybe it's garbage, but in my mind it worked out really well. So, you can go find all that on YouTube, but I want to do King of Cards, you know. It's important. It's important to do at some point. And yeah, I've just been doing the other games. I don't know, I have so many indie games on Switch that I need to play. Right? I finally picked, with the Switch, there was a Switch sale, and with it ending, I finally picked up Loop Hero, which is one of those games like Hades, that it's like, oh, I really need to play this at some point. But well, I did get around to Hades. I mean, I got around to it, like, at the very end of the year. Like, in, like, November. So, maybe I'll get around to Loop Hero in November as well. Nah, I'll hopefully get around to it sooner than that. But I know people loved Loop Hero. Loop Hero is one of, like, the best reviewed games from last year. At least I remember it being. I don't even think it got... I think it got nominated for a single game award, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's all the game I've been playing. But I have been doing other stuff. Specifically, I have been watching Regular Show. So, right, so Regular Show, the Cartoon Network show about Mordecai and Rigby working at the park, angry park manager Benson, Muscle Man's mom, High Five Ghost, who's just the normal cool one, Skips, who is voiced by Mark Hamill, which I was reminded of at some point while watching it. Because, yeah, I kind of completely, like, I know Mark Hamill is one of the greatest voice actors of all time, but yeah, I kind of completely forgot he was Skips until I was, like, watching the series again. But yeah, so last week I talked about how I was in, like, how I had only ever seen, like, the first, like, 4 seasons of Regular Show. I had never seen beyond that, right? And I know it goes up to 8 there was 4 more seasons in a movie. So I finally sat down just over the past, like, specifically, I think it's been 3 weeks. Over the past, like, 3 weeks, I've been working my way through Regular Show to, you know, see everything. And, yeah, I have now, more or less, seen everything. Now I gotta start watching Close Enough again, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, Regular Show, it's a weird fucking show, but I like weird fucking shows, man. I saw an infograph, I don't remember where, but I saw an infograph at one point that made the comparison that basically every modern, like, animated show can, like, every, like, new, so, like, stuff like Family Guy or whatever doesn't count. But, like, every, like, new animated show in the past, like, 10 years can all link themselves back to Flapjack. And Flapjack was a very weird show. But goddamn was Flapjack good, man. Very fucking weird, but I loved Flapjack. I also loved Courage. Courage the Cowardly Dog was a fantastic show. Oh my god, this bean is just speed. I don't know. Again, you're supposed to technically slow down once you're, like, holding something. But this bean's got the fucking dukes. Yeah, they know the perfect time to turn around to duke me out. And somehow that grab didn't land. There we go. Still got the thing in, but yeah. But yeah, so going back through, so yeah, the last I had seen, like, I had mentioned that, like, I knew at some point Thomas was revealed to be, like, a Russian spy, but I had never actually seen that episode. I've now seen that episode, and I completely understand why people didn't like that. It feels kind of weird, you know? Like, I like Thomas more as, like, the stupid intern. And then when they actually get to the reveal that, like, oh, the parks are, like, it's being lifted out of the ground because Russian park has, like, the worst parks in the world. So instead they want to steal American parks. I was like, oh, that's really funny. And then they reveal that, no, that's not the plan. The actual plan is to reveal, is that, they're going to, instead of bringing nukes to America, they're bringing America to the nukes. And I was like, that's way less interesting. I thought them, bringing the park to Russia. And they could have even done a whole series of episodes in Russia. That would have been funny. But no, instead they're just trying to nuke America. And I was like, that's way less interesting. So yeah, I kind of get why people didn't like that. Some other things. So when it comes to the finale, so at the end of the 7th season, they get blasted off into space. And I'm amazed at how much they set that up. Like, 2 or 3 episodes in to the 7th season, they're already building up that by the end of the season they will be going to space. And then there's the movie, which technically, like, the movie takes place between the 6th and the 7th season, and, like, there's stuff that gets set up in the movies that does get brought back later in the 8th season, like their spaceships and the intergalactic park rangers and whatnot. So, like, there are a lot of things that get set up and do get proper payoffs by the end of the show. The movie's very weird because you have their volleyball coach who wants to like destroy all of time just because Rigby blew their the state championship basketball game, and that gets Mordecai and Rigby kicked out of high school. Cause see, like I knew Rigby didn't graduate high school. I didn't know Mordecai didn't either. Because I know Mordecai goes to college, but yeah. I mean, and the movie addresses that, like, he tried to stop him from going to college. But yeah, the whole 7th season is all this build-up towards the park going to space. And it's pretty good build-up. You got some great moments with the dome. I really like all that. Benson dating one of the girls who works at the dome. Which, you know, the relationship stuff in that show... Oh my, like, I know we all talk about, like, what a mess it is. But yeah, it seriously is a fucking mess, all the relationship drama in that show. Specifically with Mordecai. And, like, they point out that, like, Benson also has a really rocky really rocky relationships. But we never actually see any of them. Like, sure, he's dating Pam, and then they break up because of long distance. He's dating another girl who they constantly reference. Right? Them dating. But then oh, did that... Oh, good. Okay, I think that did make it in. Yeah, Benson's dating another girl. And, like, starting in, like, the 4th season. And they break up at some point. And yet, they just joke about it, right? That, oh, nobody actually cares about Benson's relationship drama. And they point out, like, how all the characters help Benson deal with his relationship trauma. But it all happened off-screen. Rigby's dating, Eileen. Which, okay, the one reveal I did really like is because you see Rigby doing all this really nice stuff for Eileen. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cute, right? And that's like, and they're not even dating at that point. And then I think at Muscleman's wedding, you find out that no, Rigby and Eileen have been dating this whole time. Like all the nice things. Yeah, no, they've been dating the entire time, and they just never said it. So that was an interest. I was like, oh shit. It's like when Chandlo and what's their name is dating in Bugsnax. And you find out that, no, they've been married for, like, 5 years or whatever. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, God, what's his... It's Chandlo? Chadlo. And, oh, fuck, I'm forgetting his name. Oh. Well, you know, if you've ever played Bugsnax, you know who I'm talking about. And yeah, it's like that reveal. But yeah, Mordecai's really... I get why people, like... I've seen jokes about how, like, Mordecai is the king of the simps, right? Like, you can take a list of characters like Finn and Gumball and Philip J. Fry, who, right, all have these, like, rocky relationship statuses. But you put them next to Mordecai, and they look perfectly fine next to him, because he's such a big simp. And it's true. I don't think it's as bad as people make it. What more annoys me, and what annoys me with a lot of these cartoons, is this whole thing where it's like, oh, we're going to set up these characters, we're going to make these characters date, give them great chemistry, and then in the end, they're just going to break up and he's going to go back to the first girlfriend. Right? Marco and, what's her name? Is it Hekapoo? Marco and Hekapoo. Great chemistry. In the end, they just break up. Right? In the end, all this build up. And there's other girls as well. Marco has like 4 different girlfriends. But in the end, he ends up with Star. What's another example? There's, Finn and, Finn has great chemistry with, Flame Princess, but then he becomes kind of abusive and they break up, which, to be fair, I kind of get. But the whole cinnamon bun thing was a fucking mess. You and I all know that. You and I both know that. And then he starts dating, and then does he ever even date Huntress Wizard? Like, they definitely hint that, like, him and Huntress Wizard have something, but he never really dates her, does he? And there's tons of other examples that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head that are that are like, oh, here's 2 characters. The How I Met Your Mother, the mother and Ted, right? That's a great show that I really love, and that ending completely fucks it up. Yeah, it's still I love that show. The ending still fucking sucks, right? The alternate ending, the non-canon ending, is so much better. Because they do, the mother and Ted do end up together in the end. Not enough to, like, save the show, because the whole Barney and Robin getting divorced still fucking sucks. Especially because they spend the entire season building up their relationship, but... Whatever. Honestly, part of me does wonder if it wasn't for the ending, would that show be as highly regarded as, like, Friends or Seinfeld and shit like that? Because I think it's a really good show. But yeah, so Mordecai and CJ, I think, have great chemistry. I think they work really well together. And then he breaks up with her at Muscle Man's wedding just to get back with Margaret. And they technically never even get back together, because then at the end of the season, the park ends up blasting off into space. Which you can tell why when the park blasts off to space, the only one who goes with them is Eileen. Because Eileen and Rigby were the only characters that still had, like, a connection, right? There was still stuff to do with Eileen and Rigby. Whereas every other character, right? Everything that Mordecai could do with Margaret, already been done. Everything that Mordecai could do with CJ, already been done. Right, at Benson and any of his girlfriends, yeah. Muscle Man and Starla, anything they could have done with them, they had already done by that point in the show. So it's really, but it kind of does still break my heart when at the very end you get back and it's like, oh hey, Muscle Man, you have a daughter now, and I was like, oh my gosh, she was pregnant, and they don't but I still technically think they basically do everything with Muscle Man that they couldn't up until that point. Right? I feel like they more or less did it all. Yeah, I'll stand by that. But yeah, Eileen and Rigby, they still had stuff to do, and they still do. in that final season. I admittedly did not like the final season as much. Because, okay, they're putting the park into space, and there's this whole thing about anti-pops, and the park ranger spreading parks to planets all across the universe. And it's just not, like, I get that they've probably done everything they could have done on Earth, and adding space adds a new dimension, but it really doesn't actually change the show up that much. Because, like, oh, now instead of, right, the park pranking Gene over at East Pines, it's now the space tree and Muscle Man pranking the space bush. Right? It's the same thing, but just a little bit different. And that little bit of difference, you know, makes all the difference in the show. Right? It's stuff like that. Like, I know it's technically very similar, but it's the little things that just make the show feel different. That doesn't mean I disliked it or anything, mind you. Like, I still think the show is good. And, well, admittedly, leading up to... Okay, so just some other random things as we get leading up to the end of the show. The Format Wars stuff, I'd never seen any of that before. That was all pretty funny with the last Laserdisc player. I really liked that joke, right? VHS destroying Laserdisc. And then that builds off into later on they have Laserdisc Sun DVD. And then later on you have HD DVD, which is currently, as far as I know, a dead format. Right? Right in the same way VHS is now dead, and Laserdisc is dead. DVD and HD DVD are basically dead. Now Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray now rule the streaming wars or whatever. I think it's a 4K Blu-ray. But yeah, and then seeing Blu-ray, right, building all that up in the final season, and then having internet streaming being one of the villains as well. It's like, oh, that's pretty neat. Right, that all the stuff that had to do with the streaming wars as they like built up season after season. That was really good. The whole anti-pops thing, I thought it was okay. I mean, again, they needed something big to end on. And at the start of season 4, they kind of blow their load by having every villain come back. Even though they do, at one point they go on like trial or something, and they bring back a bunch of like Garrett Bobby Ferguson shows up again. The ducks come back. There's an episode where like where the ducks are fighting like a Cassador and like the goose combined, the geese, and that was crazy. That was honestly a crazy episode as they like keep forming these bigger and bigger fusions. Wild episode. And that comes back in the finale. I love when shows do the thing where they go back to their first episode. Right? Like in this, it seems as if Anti-Pop... So the whole point is like Pops and Anti-Pops are fighting each other. And that when Anti-Pops and Pops collide, they basically destroy the universe and start a new one where the cycle repeats over and over again. So basically Pops and Anti-Pops are stuck in an infinite cycle. But I liked that at a moment we think we see the infinite cycle start again when Anti-Pops and Pops collide and Mordecai and Rigby get transported back to the very first episode. And I love when shows do that shit. When they go back to the very first episode and they have to like do it all over again. That shit like that. And it's usually like, again, or they're in like an alternate timeline or something like that. Like the She-Ra episode where all of a sudden time gets reset, or it seems like time gets reset and it's as if Fedora had never left. Right? I love shit like that. So yeah, seeing that again was very cool. And then, but right, they come back. Pops sacrifices himself to defeat Anti-Pops, but they are able to win. They do win. Ah, gosh dang it. I was hoping he wouldn't bump into me and just run past, but no. But yeah, seeing Pops and Anti-Pops, right? He sacrifices himself. And then we just get the next... And admittedly, when Pops sacrifices himself, I didn't cry. Then they put up the statue of Pops at the very end. And that's when I cried. Putting up the statue and like reading the quote. That's what fucking got me. Oh my gosh, he pressed the button for us. So yeah, that was the moment that got me. I technically, like, I wasn't like full out like bawling, but I did definitely have like a strong like sniffles and my eyes were watering. So yeah, it's a good finale. You know, for all my problems with the final season, I do think at the end of the day it all technically works out. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed regular. And right, seeing 25 years later, eventually Mordecai does get a girlfriend and has kids. Rigby and Eileen's kids. Muscle Man has like 8 kids. Right, seeing all that was all really good. But yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot of episodes. They're all only 11 minutes though. All the Halloween specials. I did not like when they tried to turn the Christmas special into a Halloween special, right, where they told scary stories on Christmas in the final season. Like, in theory, it's a joke that works, but I didn't really like it. The White Elephant Christmas episode, on the other hand, was so fucking funny, where Muscle Man was always giving them shitty gifts, so they decide to give Muscle Man a shitty gift. And it just and like at first it's like they get summoned by like a white elephant spirit. Oh, so there's been a lot of like regular show TikToks. Part of the reason I started watching the show again was because of regular show TikToks. And the one I had been looking for, I finally found. It was by a guy called I'm gonna pull up his username. He's called oh, come on, stop lagging on me. He is, Coral the Sequel. So, CORAL_the_sequel. And he did a regular show bit. And it's out of all the regular show TikToks I've seen, if I had to name one that made me want to rewatch the show, it's that one. Because it's about like, oh, well, we're going to go Mordecai playing Limbo against Vladimir Lenin to try to find a place to take Margaret out for dinner. Muscle Man playing Russian roulette with the Chinese president in order to pay off his tab at a chicken restaurant. It perfectly summarizes regular show. How it's like mundane shit that just goes absolutely insane. I love it. Show's really good. It took me, again, the show ended years ago. And I was, at the time anyways... Oh, God. Yeah, I was watching it until, like, the 4th season. And then I just kind of fell off, and that was it. And I hadn't touched it since. But I was like, I gotta get around to finishing it at some point. So I finally did. I finally finished it. I was like, I knew I saw somebody right there. And yeah, I think it's got a pretty strong end. All things considered, yeah, for as much, again, I know it's really hard to end a show. Like, I know that's a whole thing of, like, ending a show is so difficult. But, honest, and again, the show kind of falls apart in the final season. Like, it never becomes, like, a disaster. Like, I've seen other shows that just become a complete fucking mess. Again, I talk about how much I love How I Met Your Mother. Technically speaking, the final season takes place over the span of like 2 days while they're waiting at like a hotel for a wedding. And I could see where people would be like, yeah, the show kind of falls apart there. Still personally really enjoy it, but I get where people are coming from. Again, I'm just assuming people have a problem with that. That seems like something that would happen. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the ending of regular show. I think the show was really good. I'm glad I watched it. There's so many other shows I need to watch. I think I did like 100 episodes in like 3 weeks. Honestly, it was something wild like that. And I basically spent any free time I have had in this past week has just been regular show. Outside of finishing Cuphead on Sunday and playing Spectre of Torment today, I literally haven't done anything else. Oh, why did that not count? Yeah, so really good show. Really good show. Good show, mate. Oh my god, they fell up there. I'm gonna have to go. I need to go get water real quick. When we get back, I'll talk about Thor and Miss Marvel. We'll talk about Thor first. Yeah, I need to go get water real quick. I had such a big dinner. Oh my gosh, I'm so full. Yeah, we got all of these, so that's neat. The Apple of Eden backpack. Did they ever even do anything with the Apple of Eden? Like, I know you get it, and then Desmond just fucking dies, or whatever the hell. God, fucking Assassin. You know, for as much as I love those games are also a fucking mess. Alright, I'll be right back. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm so out of it. It's funny, I don't give a shit about money ones, and like these ones that give money, they literally mean nothing to me. Whereas these are what it's all about. Which, I mean, we're slowly making progress on that. Let's do some regular, let's do some regular show. I like Sweet Treat, it's fun. Technically, it's helping us. Oh, no, it's not. It's classified as Invisibean and not Team Round. I was like, oh, I hope it's helping us with this one. No, this one's fucking impossible, man. At some point, they're going to do an all squad shows one. So then that one becomes possible, but that'll happen eventually. So, next up is Thor. So if you've been on the internet the past few days, this movie is very divisive. People are very split on whether or not the new Thor is good. And just to give a few non-spoiler thoughts, I do think it's good. I don't think it's great. That's definitely not for sure. Like, I loved Ragnarok. Admittedly, I've seen some people say that Ragnarok isn't, like, watching it again, it's not as good as we remember it to be. I haven't rewatched it, but I don't think that's true. I've seen Ragnarok a few times, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it every time. So yeah, I think Ragnarok's one of the best MCU movies, right? It's funny, it's refreshing. I liked the story. I know, right? I know some people have problems with it, but yeah, no, I liked Ragnarok. But this new Thor is no Ragnarok. It's not as good. It's not even close. I liked it. I didn't love it. It is definitely it's a comedy. It's just a straight up comedy. It's got superhero elements, yes, but it's a lot more like you're Dumb and Dumber or you're freaking. Oh God, what's other good comparison? It's not even like other like I couldn't even compare it to like other Taika Waititi projects like What We Do in the Shadows, right? Like I don't even think that's a good comparison. It would be very interesting to have seen this be in like that mockumentary style. Right, like a Thor that was just fully in mockumentary. That would have been a very interesting movie. That might have actually made this one better, honestly. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm getting the feeling that since Endgame, a lot of people are starting to lose faith in the MCU. That maybe the MCU is oversaturated, and I think this is the movie that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. Because, well, I did like Doctor Strange, and I did rewatch it when it finally came to Disney+, and I actually liked it more my second time watching it. But yeah, I feel like, because everyone was hyping up Doctor Strange, and then it was just good, It wasn't anything amazing, it was just good. And that's this one, like, oh, I loved Thor Ragnarok. Another Taika Waititi Thor movie? Oh, this is going to be fantastic. And then it wasn't. So now it just begs the question, like, has the MCU peaked? Like, because what made the MCU special is that it was a bunch of movies that, well, yeah, a little cliche. And I have no problem. I know some people hate cliches and they hate tropes. And they like, it's the same type of people who, not the exact same people, like, there are two groups that are very similar. Is the people who, like, hate movies just for having cliches, and the people who hate movies for not passing the Bechdel test, right? Those are, like, they're two entirely different groups of people that are very similar, more similar than they'd ever admit. But yeah, where was I going with that? Right, the MCU, it's fine that it's cliche. They're fun superhero movies that are of pretty good quality, right? There are some good ones in there, right? And not just like ones where it's like, oh, it's a fun superhero movie, or, yeah, right? There are some things that I would say are genuinely great. And it's not we're not just in the Western Age, even though I can see people using this as an excuse to say we're in the Western Age. But yeah, no, I do definitely feel like, and yeah, so since Phase 4 has started, it definitely feels like and admittedly, Phase 4, right, it happens at the same time, more or less, as COVID. So as a result, you see that reflected in the movies, with all the delays and all the rewrites, and it is really affecting things. I'm just gonna assume this is right. I have no idea. I'm not paying attention at all. But yeah, so we're seeing that, like, all just Marvel putting out, what, 4 movies a year? 3 to 4 movies a year. TV shows every 3 months. Maybe it is starting, maybe we are oversaturated. Not in the fact that, like, like, we're getting too much of it. But more that the quality is just not as good. Oh, we could have stayed World War. Yeah, maybe that's the problem, is that it's just in the process of making so many movies and shows, the quality is starting to take a hit. Not that, like, again, I really, for all these people being like, oh yeah, this sucks, Phase 4 sucks, the MCU isn't good anymore, I don't agree with that. I've been enjoying some of the TV shows. Not everything, like, it's a lot of, like, if you look at the grand scheme of the MCU, most of the TV shows, like, fall in the middle. But, yeah, even the MCU's middle is not as bad. Like, the MCU's middle is still better than 90% of the Fox X-Men movies. And yeah, well, okay, I guess I'd count Deadpool. Deadpool's a different thing. Both the Deadpools are good. But of the Fox X-Men movies, of which there are like 12 of, only like 2 of them are good. Or 2 of them hold up today. Same thing with the Zack Snyder verse. Of all the Zack Snyder verse, most of it sucks. You know, again, there are some good things, but Zack Snyder fans fucking suck. They don't know what makes a good movie. They especially don't know what makes Batman and Superman good. Zack Snyder doesn't know what makes Batman and Superman good. I think the MCU shows are better than the Arrowverse stuff. I know people like the Arrowverse, but can't fucking stand it. I definitely like these shows better than the Arrowverse. And the CGI is about on par. Yeah, more... Oh my god. Oh, shit. Yeah, the CGI is about on par. I know people like Daredevil Netflix. I don't know, man. Not all those shows... I know we like Daredevil. And I like the first season of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. But some of that other shit, man, was not nearly as good. And they did actually... I think they officially confirmed that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio will be coming back for Echo. So for people who are excited for that, well, hey, here you go. But people are gonna... Right, people are now worried, oh, are they going to MCU it up? Because, you know, the Daredevil shows were darker. And that's something that people really liked about them. And I totally get that. So yeah, it's a complicated situation all around. Yeah, I don't think the MC... Again, I'm liking Miss Marvel. I know some people really fucking hate it for all the deviations it's made to the comics. As someone who reads the comics, I personally think I like it. I'm not... I definitely am not as blown away by it as I want to be. Right? Like, I do definitely think it could be better. But I don't think it's bad. I just have very complicated feelings on it. But yeah, Thor Love and Thunder, end of non-spoiler stuff. I like it, but I don't love it. It's mostly a comedy. It's throwing in a joke. It's trying to throw in a joke every, like, 30 seconds. And if you don't like them, this movie's gonna fucking suck for you. I thought the jokes were fine. I liked the movie. Oh my god. So in the theater where I was in, the guys behind me, they were behind me and to the right. They came in and they smelled so much like weed. Like the theater just stank the moment they walked in. Oh my god. And one of the guys was so high. The movie starts off with like a kind of serious scene. Kind of. And this dude is just giggling his ass off. For the first, like, 10 minutes of the movie, all this dude can do is laugh. That's all he can do. For the first, like, 10, 15 minutes of the movie. It's not like a normal laugh. He's clearly, like, very high. So it's one of those, like, high laughs. And I was just like, I can't do this for 2 hours, man. He eventually, after like 15 minutes, he mostly shut up. He did definitely cry at the end, spoiler alert. He did definitely cry at the end. But yeah, he was just so fucking high. And he came in with like 3 other people as well. I don't think any of them were as bad as he was. But oh my god. So he probably thought this was the greatest movie of all time. Because every joke was making him laugh, you know? Every fucking joke was getting to him. But yeah, so that was a goddamn... I was like, oh my god. Because it was like when I went and saw Free Guy, the moment theaters opened back up. The first movie I saw once theaters opened back up was Free Guy. And when I went there was like a high school couple. It was like it was a boy and girl, and they were on like probably like their first date. And the guy, they just would not shut the fuck up. And for the first time ever, I went to like the theater staff and was like, kick them out. Because the theater has, right, it's a draft house, no talking, right, and they'll kick you out. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. These guys, this guy and girl will not shut the fuck up. But yeah, I was like 15 minutes in. I was like, if this keeps going. But no, he shut up, and I mean, he'd still laugh, but it was not nearly as bad after that point. But yeah. So yeah, that guy loved this movie. But yeah, I liked it. I thought some of the jokes were funny. Not, right, like do you find Screaming Goats funny? Then maybe you'll have a good time. I think it's okay. I like Goat Simulator fine enough. But if you don't, oh boy, are you going to have a bad time here. But yeah, I liked it. Didn't love it. Again, I keep a list voted on democracy, which is still my proof that democracy just straight up doesn't fucking work. Right? Or like the one party, one vote system just straight up does not work. Is my MCU ranking list. And I haven't put Thor Love and Thunder on it yet, but I have no idea where it would be. Having seen the movie, I'm waiting until Miss Marvel next week. Once Miss Marvel finishes, I'll put both it and Miss Marvel on the list. But yeah, as of right now, I have no fucking idea where it'd go. I think it goes in the middle of the list, but it's that type of movie, right? Where like I have an idea, but definitely nothing concrete. But I liked it. I just didn't love it. All right, I wanted to like it, and also I've seen people doing revisionist history, acting like the first two Thor movies were good. The first two Thor movies were not good. The first one is okay. You know, you've got what's his face? The oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? Not Kenneth Branagh. Is it Kenneth Branagh? You've got the Shakespearean, right? He's directing it, and he's good at what he does, and it's an okay movie, but it's not anything great. And Thor: The Dark World is just straight up bad. The best bit in it is Loki, but that does not save the movie, because the rest of it is just so fucking bad. I mean, they got a fucking Doctor Who actor in it, and he contributes nothing to the movie. Like, God, Morbius made more out of its Doctor Who actor. That's not true. That's definitely not true. But yeah. So, yeah. Don't listen to any of this revisionist history. I know people were saying the same thing when No Way Home came out, and people were acting like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Mans 1 and 2 were good. Don't let people revise history like this. Those movies are not good. Okay, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is good. It's just not great. And the second Amazing Spider-Man is fucking terrible. Right? First Thor is okay. Good even, but not great. But the second one is fucking terrible, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let people fucking revise history like this. But, so, on to spoilers. What do I have to say? So, Gore the God Butcher, right, is a very serious character in the comics. He's considered one of the best villains in Marvel Comics. Not like the most like threatening, right? He's no Doctor Doom level threat as far as I know. But he's just done very well. And to this movie's credit, they do take him seriously. They do say that, yeah, Gore is a threat and that he is right. One of the most important things about Gore, the God Butcher, is because, right, he's a character who sees that the gods don't give a shit about him, or anybody else for that matter, so he's going to kill all the gods. And he's right. Right? The reason in the comics Thor becomes unworthy of wielding Mjolnir and Jane Foster gets it is because of what Gore says, that he's right, that Gore is right. And the movie totally agrees with that sentiment. That, yep, Gore is right. The gods don't care about people. And, like, I've seen a lot of people compare this Russell Crowe's depiction of Zeus in this movie to Zack Snyder's depiction of Zeus in his Justice League movie, which, by the way, the characters are serving two different purposes, right? That Zeus is more of the Titan Slayer Zeus, who, right, overthrew his father, whereas this Zeus is more the, the guy who rapes a lot of women. Both technically correct for the character, just at two different ages in the character's lifespan. That's clearly, and like the whole point of, like, I've seen people just completely dismiss the Russell Crowe scene. That I saw someone compare it to the horse scene in The Force Awakening, which is, or in The Last Jedi, which is complete bullshit, by the way. That's a fucking terrible take right there. But the whole point of them going to Omniscient City or whatever and talking to Zeus and all the other gods is to prove that Gore is right. That the gods don't give a shit about the people, and they just don't give a shit. It's to prove Gore is right. That's the whole point of the scene. And I guess to set up Hercules, which is the post-credit scene. Yeah, no. It's like people who complained about God of War Ragnarok's Thor when comparing him to the MCU's Thor. Again, God of War's Thor is probably more mythologically accurate, whereas Marvel, both the movies and the comics, have never given a shit about mythological accuracy. I mean, Loki is Odin's brother, and they're blood brothers, and in mythology, not Thor's. Yeah, again, Marvel has never actually given a shit about accuracy. Thor's just a cool character, and they wanted to do cool shit with him. It's like the guy who wrote Lupin, right? The Master Thief Lupin. He just wanted to use Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes is a cool character. That's it. It's not that complicated. But yeah, so we get Mighty Thor Jane Foster, and one of the things people had wondered is whether they were going to do the cancer. Because yeah, in the comics, Jane Foster is dying of cancer, but when she wields Mjolnir, she doesn't have to worry about that but when she stops using it, it undoes the chemo, right? And it's like she has to find this balance between being the mighty Thor and, right, getting the treatment, right, getting the chemo. And yeah, the movie totally goes into that. Jane Foster is dying of cancer, and being the mighty Thor undoes the chemo, and it is killing her completely. But the big twist that I can see why people have a problem with this, and I think I probably do as well, is that I almost switched over to the other one. Is that at the end of the movie, Jane succumbs and dies to cancer. She goes to Valhalla, but she does die from the cancer. And as far as I know, in the comics, Jane Foster is still Thor. And as far as I know, Thor himself still goes by Odin's son. Admittedly, I have no idea what the fuck happened after War of the Realms. Because I know in War of the Realms, Mjolnir got reforged or something like that, or I know something happened at some point. Right, but yeah, as far as I know, Jane Foster is still Thor in the comics. Like, people are like, because I remember when that happened, and all the man babies got upset, but then the story turned out to be really good, so people stopped complaining. I mean, there will always be some, people who complain, but yeah. But I am genuinely surprised they killed her off. I mean, again, they could do anything. It's fucking comic books. But I don't know if they will. Honestly, that's maybe the biggest surprise in the entire movie. Right? Like, Gore being right, that's something they kind of had to do. Right? Like, and they don't even pull like a like they did with the Flag Smashers and Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it's like, oh, they're right, but they push women downstairs, so they're evil. No, it's just straight up, yeah, Gore's right. And right, there's a great scene while they're in the Shadow Realm, where he just straight up where he confronts each of the other characters, and is like, this is the reason why you should hate the gods. Right? This is the terrible things they did for you. And yeah, this is why you should hate them. But yeah, there's a lot of... It's a lot of jokes. And again, the hard part about talking about a comedy is there's only so many times you can say that was funny, or that wasn't funny. But overall, yeah, I liked it. The ending, so this movie, part of Gore's goal, in order to kill all the gods, he goes to Eternity. Eternity is like the physical embodiment of the universe in Marvel Comics. Like, literally, Thanos kills Eternity in Infinity Gauntlet and becomes Eternity. Right? Like, that's a whole thing that happens at one point in Infinity Gauntlet. So yeah, he's a very powerful thing. And this one, they kind of just use him as like, oh, the first person to get to Eternity gets their wish granted. Right? That's basically just how they use Eternity there. Oh, I was really hoping I was going to be the only one to survive that. Because if I was, that would give me the crown right there. But yeah, so I part of me feels like they've underused Eternity. Because there's so much more potential there. Oh god, please don't give me tail tag. But I hope that he does show back up in a future project. Right? Because again, he's a pretty important character. Maybe have Eternity be maybe an Adam Warlock thing. Eternity's asleep, and Adam Warlock has to fight the Mechanist in order to stop him. God, I always forget that character's name. The evil Adam Warlock is called... It's not the Mechanist. It's not the Mandarin. He's got a very specific name that I always it's not the Magi, but it's something like the Magi. But yeah, there's an evil Adam Warlock. Yeah, that's a whole thing in the comics. That is the Infinity War comic right there, right? Where he puts Eternity to sleep. So maybe we'll see that. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Because they've also been building up the Living Tribunal, who is this character who, you know, does this whole thing where he, right, and he disables the Infinity Gauntlet, so we'll see what they do with that. This shark guy's gonna be a fucking nightmare. Okay, we got rid of him. Now let's see what you do. Oh, okay, we're good. Okay, we are good here. Holy shit. Okay, I'm just gonna take it slow and steady. Slow and steady. Because this is my game to lose. They're also going to take it slow and steady down there, theoretically, but... we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what they do. Honestly, it did not buy me as nearly as much time as I was hoping it would. Getting an entire layer to myself, yeah, that did not do nearly as much. Because, yeah, they basically just took their time on these 2 layers. Again, part of me wonders if I should just go down to the bottom and get rid of everything, but I know that's not a great idea. Yeah, this is not one that should be done with 3 people. Honestly, we could just take forever on this if we really wanted to. there was still so much area over there. See, and I bet running is actually probably a much better solution to this. Even though having that guy fall, great way to do things. Okay, I'm gonna take this a little differently. Oh, crap. So what else? Anything else in Thor: Love and Thunder? Finding out Korg species gives it's Mpreg, right? It's two males go into a hot lava bath and have a kid, and Korg getting a boyfriend or husband, I don't think they say, named Dwayne, who's also a rock person. That's pretty funny. Okay. Just me and the shark dude. Who... Oh, okay. Wow, we spent so much time doing... we spent so much time doing nothing and I don't even know what killed him. That counts as an actual win. That one I'll take. Yeah, it's a very comedic movie. And if you don't like the comedy, you're not gonna like it. That's just how it goes sometimes, honestly. I don't know, honestly, it's way more divided. Like, when I saw the critics' reviews come out, because I think it's got a 69 on Rotten Tomatoes, which, if you don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, it's not that it's 69% good. That means if you see it, there is a 69% chance of liking it, which I think is actually very accurate. I think a 69% chance of enjoying Thor and Thunder, or Love and Thunder, yeah, that's pretty accurate in my opinion. But honestly, seeing that, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's lower than I'd want it to be. But then I'm amazed at just how divisive this movie is. Everyone's got a hot take on it. And it really all comes down to, do you like the comedy or not? And now some of it I think is fucking dumb. Like, there's this whole argument like, oh, well, if you just turn your brain off, you'll enjoy the movie. That's technically true, but at the same time, yeah, there are some dumb things in it. Like, there's a whole point near the end where Thor takes the lightning bolt they steal from Zeus, and he uses it to power up all these kids. Because, like, these kids, early on in the movie, all these kids get kidnapped. Because the whole thing, as pointed out, because the whole thing is about, right, whether or not, because part of the reason Thor and Jane broke up is because Thor didn't know if he was ready to have a kid. Same plot as Peter B. Parker in Into the Spider-Verse, right? Same idea. But yeah, and so early on in the movie, a bunch of kids get kidnapped, right? Which is, representing that, oh, these kids have been kidnapped, and he has to go save these kids with Jane, as he also tries to, mend his relationship and get ready to potentially be a father now. Because if he gets back together with Jane, and Jane, gets healed from the cancer, well, hey, maybe he'll be a father. And yeah, and at the end of the movie, he becomes a father. Not with Jane's kid, but with, Gore, because Gore uses his wish to not, instead of killing all the gods, to bring his daughter back. And then Thor becomes the dad of Thunder, right? Which, again, it's all leading around that idea of, like, why Jane and Thor broke up. Which, admittedly, you don't get until, like, probably 30 minutes into the movie. And the movie's only, like, 2 hours, so, yeah. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So these kids get kidnapped, and at the end, Thor goes and saves the kids, and then he uses Zeus's Thunderbolt to transfer some of his power into the kids, so that way the kids can, like, stop the monsters, the shadow monsters Gore created. And, again, some people are going to find that really fucking stupid. And part of me does, but part of me is also like, that's kind of funny. Like, there's, like, because Heimdall has a son. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, there's, like, this little narrative arc there. And at the end, like, Heimdall, in Valhalla, Heimdall tells Jane, like, thanks for watching over my kid. And I'm like, okay, so there's this whole narrative arc there that's good. But yeah, it's, so, like, on one hand, I get, right, because it is very stupid, right? Getting all these kids Zeus powers / Thor powers. And I've seen some people complain, like, oh, well, if Thor can just give other people his powers, why hasn't he done that before? Well, one, again, anyone who wields the Mjolnir, it becomes worthy of the power of Thor. It's literally written on the side of the hammer, first of all. Second of all, he now has Zeus's Thunderbolt, which presumably gives him new powers. So maybe he couldn't have done that before because he didn't have Zeus's Thunderbolt. Like, come on, people. It's not that hard to figure out, potentially. Again, now, that is some inference on my part. But it's an educated guess. The movie fully supports my claim, and that's what matters. But yeah, but there is the moment where he's giving the kids, like, this little pep talk, and he's like, oh, we gotta go fight off Gore's monsters. They're right behind me, aren't they? I know, like, oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? It's like a cliche line. But I don't fucking care, man. Like, yeah, I know they were playing it for a comedy, and it wasn't that funny. But like, honestly, Gore could have at one point said, told, like, Jane, we're not so different, you and I. And it wouldn't have been out of place at all in the movie. And I just don't... you know, there are just some people who act like cliches are the worst fucking thing in the world. Mostly people who spend way too much fucking time on tvtropes.org. But I just kind of don't give a shit, right? I mean, what are they gonna get mad at next? That the movie Iron Man 3 has a Wilhelm scream in it? I can guarantee you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are people who are mad that Iron Man 3 has a Wilhelm scream in it. I think it's Iron Man 3 that has the Wilhelm. I think it's Iron Man 3. I don't know. I know Marvel has used the Wilhelm scream before. I know Star Wars uses the Wilhelm scream all the time. Like, that's standard, right? People expect that by this point. But yeah, I don't give a shit. Honestly, it doesn't... just because they say a cliche line, it doesn't take away anything from the movie. But if you listen to some of these jack-offs, they act like it's the worst... Right, it just completely destroys the movie. It completely ruins their immersion. About, you know, the magical guy from outer space who wields a magic axe. And, you know, has a bunch of kids shooting lightning. Yep, immersion totally ruined. CinemaSins has done irreversible damage to film criticism. I'm also guilty in that. Don't get me wrong. I am also totally guilty in that. But yeah, CinemaSins has done irreversible damage. And it's a fucking nightmare. Because that is 100... When they put out a Thor Love and Thunder video, that is 100% going to be one of the things they point out. Right? Like, 1,000%. Put money on it right now. And they might even do something meta. Like, oh, you probably knew we were going to point this out, didn't you? Well, here's another point taken away for knowing that we would know. Some shit like that. God, CinemaSins fucking sucks. I used to like them. You know, I was part of it as well. Right? They were interesting, but then you realize just how bullshit they are, and you know, you gotta have that CinemaSins phase. In the same way you gotta have that Nostalgia Critic phase, right? It's a phase you go through, you eventually grow up, and you move on, and you find better things. And then some people just never grow up, which is... Oh. which is also fine, but whatever. So yeah, that's Thor: Love and Thunder. Again, there's a 69% chance you'll like it, so if you want to take that 69% gamble, you totally can. It's up to you. And I guess that takes us to our last thing, Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel episode 5 came out. A lot of people also seem to be hating this show. And some of it I get, right? The fact that we spend like the first 2 episodes at the high school, but then since episode 3, the show has basically felt like a complete, like the first 2 episodes and the episodes 3 through 5 feel like 2 completely different shows. And yeah, I kind of get that. And part of me does miss like some of the high school stuff, right? Again, I like Nakia. I like Bruno. I like Zoe Zimmer. And so the fact that we haven't seen any of the... I mean, Bruno shows up in episode 5. Nakia hasn't shown up since the end of episode 3. Zoe Zimmer hasn't shown up since episode 2. Right? The fact that... Again, part of me feels like definitely the show needed to be longer. That's definitely a part of it. Is that the show needed more length to it. It needed... Again, I also do hope it gets another season. But that doesn't mean I hate it. Right? So in this episode, the first, 20 minutes of this episode is just giving us the backstory of, Isha? I don't remember how they pronounce it. Kamala's great-grandmother. Right? Kamala's great-grandmother, who is one of the clandestine, who eventually met a man, and, they had a kid together, but then the British leave India, and all the Muslims are forced into Pakistan, so they flee, but they also flee because they're being chased by the clandestine. And yeah, it really, the first 20 minutes feels like a completely different show, but I like the first 20 minutes, actually. I do think it, again, there's if it wasn't for all the superhero stuff, the first 20 minutes of this show, of this episode, you could in some way, I could totally see someone comparing it to the first 10 minutes of Up, right? If this was, if you take out all the superhero stuff and it's just about, a family trying to flee, India during apartheid, but the mother dies as they leave, and now in the rest of the movie is basically, the pursuit of happiness, but about a family moving to Pakistan, I guarantee you this would be a great movie. So yeah. Yeah, so I like it. I did totally predict that, yeah, Kamala was going to be the one to lead her grandmother to her great-grandfather with the Trail of Stars. Totally saw that coming, yep. Because a big element of this show is it's all about the mother and daughter, right? That's specifically since the changeover happened, and even before then, right? A big element of the show is it's about Kamala and her mother. And they do the thing where, when you find out the mother went to, is it a Bon Jovi concert? I don't remember. She goes to a concert, and you kind of get that, and Kamala kind of gets that revelation, wait, my mother is a human. She's just like me, right? One of the best college humor videos of all time is the 6 Ways You'll See Your Dad. If you've never seen that video, I highly, highly recommend it. Including the rest of the 6 is a whole series. 6 Ways You'll See Your Dad, 6 Christmas Movies, 6 Monsters You'll Have as Roommates, 6 Ways to Get Out of the Friend Zone. There's a few other ones. There's, I think, 2 more. I think there's 8 total. Plus there's one Emily Axford did, which isn't as good. But yeah, the 6 by Josh Rubin is the best stuff college humor has ever put out. I mean, it's not the funniest stuff. It's funny, but not as funny. But I love it so much. And yeah, they kind of get that revelation at the end. Specifically, again, the 6 Ways You'll See Your Dad. And yeah, this one, Kamala realizes that, her mother isn't actually that much different than her. And part of the reason I think they're doing it is because, I kind of honestly forgot Damage Control was the villain. Because they show up at the end of the second episode, And they technically arrest the clandestine at the end of the 3rd episode, but it's such a minor thing that it's very easy to forget about their existence. Well, yeah, they're setting up Damage Control as a villain. I can almost guarantee in the next episode that Kamala and her mom are going to come back. And then her mom is going to get kidnapped by Kamran. That Kamran's going to kidnap Kamala's mother. And now because in the comics, Kamran kidnaps her brother. So I'm going to guess in the show, right, she kidnaps her mother, and instead of kidnapping her brother, he kidnaps her mother, and she's going to have to go save her. Because, again, a lot, like, even in the 1st episode, when, right, it's the mom that finds Kamala in her, right, when she snuck away. So I'm going to guess that's going to happen. That's my big prediction for something that's going to happen in the final episode. Because even though I was surprised that they didn't make Kamran the villain, I still actually do think that Kamran's going to end up being the villain. Okay, one of the things, like, I talked about the stuff in Thor, right, with people saying, like, oh, this makes no sense, but I'm like, no, technically, it's fine. Like, you're kind of right, but you're also kind of wrong. The whole bit in here with, what's her name, closing the portal and giving the powers to Kamran, that, I will fully admit, just makes no fucking sense. How Kamran gets the power, yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. That's a completely valid complaint. Right? Like, I get that one. Right? At least there's more, like, evidence in Thor Love and Thunder to, back up them doing something different. Whereas in this, yeah, no, that makes no fucking sense. Because, yeah, the portal to get the clandestine home finally opens. But when they try to go through it, because, right, they're talking about, like, the veil, and it will destroy the worlds by merging our world with the clandestine world, and the clandestine world will destroy our world. Yeah, none of that really comes into play. Instead, the clandestine just try to enter through the veil, and it just kills them. And, okay, the special effects that when they die are pretty bad. I mean, they basically get Temple of Doomed. The only difference being that I think the effects kind of look worse. The effect, honestly, if you want my real, the effects on the clandestine dying, because they turn into crystals and then into skeletons, it looks like 2001 Spider-Man. When the Green Goblin hits the all his business partners with the the pumpkin bombs, and it turns them all into skeletons. It's basically the same effect. The 2001 Spider-Man movie has on par effects with the current year MCU show. So yeah, that just tells you how far we've gone. Yep. But yeah, I still am liking Miss Marvel. I'm not... Again, part of me wants to like it more, because I do really like the comics. Haven't read any more of the comics, because I have to read the Champions now. And I'm just not... Like, I don't hate the Champions. I just don't... Someone pointed out that the difference between the Champion... I think I've even said this before. I brought it up last week or whatever. That the difference between the Champions and the Young Avengers is that the Young Avengers are millennials, whereas the Champions are Gen Z. And yeah, I stand by that, because I'm a millennial. And even though I've never read Young Avengers, maybe I'd like it more, because right now with the Champions, I do definitely feel this disconnect. Not that I hate it or anything, I'm just not going out of my way to read it. But yeah, and who knows which one the MCU is going to do. Are they going to do the Young Avengers, or are they going to do the Champions? If I had to guess, they'd do the Young Avengers first, but who fucking knows? Because again, Kamala spent some time as a member of the Avengers before she became a member of the Champions. Or before she started the Champions. I mean, she's basically the Captain America of the Champions. She's the one who gives all the good speeches. But yeah, that's Miss Marvel. I don't know, I'm interested to see where it's going to end. But yeah, it does definitely feel like two shows crammed together. That if it had more episodes, because again, standard TV shows, even like some of these like ones with like 45-minute episodes, tend to go on for like 13 episode seasons. But the Marvel shows are just 6. Except for WandaVision. WandaVision's longer. supposedly the Hulk show, She-Hulk, is going to be 9 episodes. Which hopefully, again, I want that to be good. I don't know if it will be, but I really hope it is. But yeah, it's not like, again, I don't hate it. It's just not, it's not as good as I want it to be. But I don't think it's bad either. Like, I know some people who just straight up hate Miss Marvel, who are fans of the comics. And I guess I get that, but no, I like it. I just don't love it. And there are some really good things in it. Sugar snaps. Yeah, I guess that takes us to the end. So now that I've finished off regular show, there's so many games. Again, there's so many games I need to play, and just, I'm running out of time to play them. I've only got a few more weeks, and then it's back to full-time work. Oh, God. Well, you know, who knows how things are going to change. Who knows how things are going to change in August. Yep. Alright, this should take us to a final round. So, yeah. The stream will finish up the Isle of Armor. We're definitely halfway through the Isle of Armor, or the Crown Tundra, I mean. We're definitely halfway through the Crown Tundra. So we'll hopefully finish that up on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we'll do, we'll start King of Cards, which, again, I think will only be a single stream. Again, I've only ever played King of Cards once. Maybe twice, but I can only think of one time. So if I had to guess, it's only going to be a single stream, but it might be more. Crap. Nope. Oh, gosh. No! Sugar snappies. Okay, it's going to be a really tight race here. Oh, we're ending off on a win. Yeah, I'll take that. It was, you saw me looking ahead to see where the crown was. That's a lot of wins tonight. I mean, technically, we got, like, I know we won Candy Thief, like, 10 plus times. But, yeah. And, yeah, that gets us another... We did a lot. Oh, God, I was going to talk about my findings for, XP. Yeah, fuck. So, okay, so we did 6 rounds. Right, as you can see, we did 6 rounds of the main show. We got, and we won, we got 80 XP. Pre-free-for-all, if we had done 6 rounds and won a crown on the 6th round, we would have gotten over 250 XP. Approximately. It would have been around 250. Because each round stacks up a little more XP. And then a win gets you like an extra 100, basically. So yeah, it would have been around 250 XP for a win. And I know it says 1300, but trust me, we got what, 100. We did not get nearly as much for this. Yeah, that achievement we just got us what? Did it give us not 1200? It was it this one? got us 150. So we got about 150 for winning right there. So that's about 100 less than we would have in the old thing. And that's just how it is. Like, and because XP rates, you really rarely get over 100. You have to get over 100, I think you have to play 4 games and win on the 4th. At least, it might be 5. You might have to play 5 games and win on the 5th, or, 6 and win on the 6th. But yeah, the EXP rate in the new patch, you don't get nearly as much. Now, to compensate for that, I think the daily challenges give you about the same, right? I think it's more, admittedly, but I also do remember there being, like, daily challenges that gave you 800. Maybe that's just, so, like, there are some that are more, but there are some that are less, because at the same time, you also have the weekly challenges. And the weekly challenges, meanwhile, give you a lot more XP. You get a lot more XP from the weekly challenges. So, like, for as little XP as you get from playing the game, you do actually get way more from the weekly challenges. And also, leveling up, technically you need XP. So I think I did the math, around like level 30. We needed, I think it was like, oh gosh, I can't, I think it was like 1,700 to level up, right? It was around like 17,000, I mean. It was around 17,000 to go from like 30 to 31. In the older versions, it was, I want to say it was like 18,000. So technically, you need about 1,000 less XP per level now. Because if you look at the XP charts, it's right 660 per every level. I know it build like the first like 30 levels are like 500, but yeah, technically you need less XP per level. But because there are now 100 levels, you technically do need more XP. But yeah, to get to rank 50, you do technically need less XP than to get to rank 50 in the older season pass. Like, there is a difference there. As minimal as it might be. Because again, it's only like 1,000. That's basically like a level and a half. So it's not much. But yeah, that's the big difference. I don't know. They did kind of destroy XP, but they also added the weekly challenges, which aren't too hard to complete. I mean, we did every one tonight except for one, which is just the walk a lot one, which we're like not more than 3/4 of the way there. So yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, so the EXP, and again, because you don't get part of me wishes I had spent more of my crowns. The fact that I ended with over 100, and now kudos just aren't worth fucking anything, proves my point. But yeah. I'm still playing the game, admittedly, I'm really only playing for either the event stuff or on stream. Like, I'm not playing it every day. But yeah, it's still, it's gameplay wise, it's as good as ever. It's just fucking this, man. This is still a fucking mess. And the fact that there just isn't cool shit to, like, I have 500,000 kudos, and there's just fucking nothing to buy with them. Because there's the occasional, like, little thing, but it's nothing. All the cool stuff they're gonna just charge you real money for. And that's not even and just wait until they introduce the Sonic the Hedgehog level. Spoiler alert, they're doing a Sonic the Hedgehog level. It'll be really cool when it comes out, eventually. But yeah, oh my gosh. We went for 2 hours. I have no idea how the fuck we went for 2 hours tonight. Oh my gosh. We spent a lot of time talking about Thor. Basically 40 minutes. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Somehow I spent 40 minutes talking about Thor. Oh my god, it's so hot. We'll be back. We'll be back. Like I said, we'll be back Thursday with Pokemon, or Tuesday with Pokemon. Yep. I found a stream, like I found a schedule, and I'm gonna try to stick through it. Stick with it, at least until August. At least until August. And you know, if I ever miss a day, we'll just either do it on Wednesday or Friday. Right? Like I'm 3 streams a week is what I'm aiming for, and so far I think I'm able to keep that. But yeah, that's all we got for tonight. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.